Hi friends, in this fourth video about Bash, we'll cover variables to store and process data. If you're new to Bash, it might be best to watch my previous videos first, to cover your basics. As I promised in the last video, the answer to the challenge is here. And you would run it like this. In the previous video, we used arguments to create a script file with shebang and change the file permission. Those arguments were turned into variables, which helped us to create an interactive script which changes based on user input. Open your terminal and enter env, short for environment. This will show a list of variables that are reserved by the system and can't be used for other purposes. It also shows the value it has stored right now. For example, we used the variable $shell in the previous video in order to find out what's our current shell. When working with variables, you should know what format or naming convention to use when naming the variables. Variable names are case sensitive. The predefined variables reserved by the operating system are all capitalized, which means that if you use lowercase variables, you can be sure it's not in use. You can also mix lower and upper cases with numbers, but don't start variables with a number. Use multiple words to better identify what the purpose of the variable is. You can use underscores or camel case to separate words in your variable name. Using underscores is also called snake case. Camel case means that you start the first letter of each word with an uppercase. Some choose to start the first word with lowercase, but subsequently use an uppercase as the first letter. Starting all words with an uppercase is also called Pascal case. There's also the variation called Wiki case, which has a clearer guideline on when to use upper and lowercase. But in general, using camel case is a good practice. Spaces or special characters are not permitted in the variable name. Even though arguments are already turned into variables, $1, $2, and so forth, it's best to turn these into a variable with a name that means something, that makes the script more readable. Let's use the previous script and assign the $1 variable to the variable file name. This makes the script easier to read and the purpose is more clear. Another thing that improves readability is using comments. Each line that starts with a hash or pound symbol is a comment and is not processed as part of the script. Use that to enter a description of what your script is doing and why. A comment can start halfway in the line and will make everything a comment till the end of the line. Variables can only contain strings or integers. Strings are text and integers are numbers. When assigning strings, make sure to put them inside single or double quotes. Single quotes are called strong quotes and double quotes are weak. This doesn't mean one is better than the other, but that each have their own purpose. Strong single quotes are used to force everything inside them to be a string, with no exceptions. Even special characters are a string. Weak double quotes can still use some characters like $sign to work with variables inside the string. Assigning integers as value to your variable makes it possible to apply calculations. When assigning a number or string, make sure there is no space on either side of the equal sign. The integer needs to be without quotes or else it's seen as a string and will not be possible to use it with operators like plus or minus. I will cover arithmetic operations in a later video. You can also use predefined system variables into your scripts, like username, date, current directory, default shell, and many more. Variables can change inside the script, but the last change defines the current value of that variable. Here's an example of a variable with an integer which changes. If you want to play with variables, you don't have to use script files. You can also just assign them from the command line, the same way you type them in your script. If you don't want a variable to change, you can use the declare command with the R option, which makes the variable read-only. Here's a challenge to test what you've learned. Use the script from the last video without the part where we added a directory, and change it so that your default shell path gets its value from the system variable. Then on the second line, add a comment which shows the date and time this script was created and by which user. Both need to be entered using system variables. Don't forget to add a descriptive variable name for the first argument. I will show the answer in the next video. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next video.